Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tinnitus Coach Frieda, the guy, everyone knows it by now, who's deaf on his left ear, hearing aid, severe high-pitched tinnitus for the last 17 years this year. And today we have a special video on sleep again. I know that sleep for most people with tinnitus is one of the most difficult things to cope with. And it's very natural that if we don't sleep well, we are not rested, we are more emotional, it's more difficult to cope with things such as tinnitus. And therefore, today we're making a video on what you can do to get better sleep despite your tinnitus. Welcome. Imagine this, right? It's late, the house is quiet, you're exhausted, all you want is to fall asleep, right? And all of a sudden, and this is a given for, I think, over 90% of all people with tinnitus suddenly feels louder. And then the thoughts start to spiral while you start brushing your teeth. What if I don't sleep tonight again? What if I'm tossing and turning till 4 a.m. and tomorrow I have to work or bring the kids to school or have this appointment or that? What if? And this is one of the hardest things, and I know this by personal experience, 100%, that people struggle with tinnitus when they do not get enough rest. And I think what I want to tell you is that the most important thing that you need to know that by now, I sleep between 7 and 8 hours most days, not when I'm very stressed, but most days, completely with my tinnitus blaring away. I sometimes even have an earplug in when there's noise. I sleep, I rest, despite blaring tinnitus. And many of the people that I coach do so too. So let's challenge some very uncomfortable but beliefs that basically hold us back when we're dealing with sleep issues and tinnitus. And the three main ones are: tinnitus is causing insomnia, insomnia proves something is broken with me, or sleep must be forced back. These are among the three main things that I see when people viciously struggle against their sleep, and then it actually turns into chronic insomnia. So the real issue here, right? The real issue, I've learned it, many of my clients have learned it, is neither tinnitus nor the insomnia, right? Listen to this. The real issue is neither your tinnitus nor the insomnia. The real issue here is what I so often talk about on this channel, is your nervous system. And in very simple terms is, sleep is a natural biological process that requires no effort or conscious attention from us. But what it does require is the feeling of safety, a calm nervous system, which is required by feelings of safety, and the tinnitus, the fear and the pressure to sleep, they alert your nervous system. So it's neither tinnitus nor the fact that your worry about tinnitus and your sleeplessness had turned into chronic insomnia for some people, but it is the nervous system activation. It's not the history of not sleeping that doesn't let you sleep. Yes, it is, but it's the reaction that you have to this history in your head that doesn't let you sleep. So it's literally like this. Your body is not failing at sleep. Your body is succeeding at staying alert, right? Your body's not doing anything wrong. Your body is doing everything perfectly the way it's designed to function, right? So if there's any kind of intruders, any kind of difficulty, your brain doesn't know that you're thinking about tinnitus and about the recent sleepless nights. Your brain thinks there's something not right, right? The amygdala, the fear and panic-based center, is activated. So your brain is perfectly functioning at keeping you safe. Safety comes before sleep. So the really important part is that now I want to give you a couple of steps that you can follow that will make it easier to sleep. So sleep is not something that happens like a switch. You can't switch it on and off. There's nothing you can force. Your effort to fall asleep often increases your wakefulness, meaning you are even more awake because you're trying to sleep. Then you realize that you're not asleep yet, and then you are even more further activated. And your control, your intent to control, basically backfires into more struggle. And let me tell you why nighttime especially makes everything worse. You know, often we have less distraction from our tinnitus, we are monitoring our tinnitus more, we have a lot more meaning attached to the tinnitus because, you know, other people are sleeping and the world seems quiet. So we have recent memory of bad nights and anticipatory anxiety of another bad night and a terrible day without sleep. So the core problem here is many people do not fear the tinnitus. They fear another night like the last one. Again, you are afraid of the pain and the feelings that come with experiencing tinnitus in this moment and with the associated insomnia and the negative feelings that insomnia brings. The common response is that people try to force sleep. They fight wakefulness, right? They fighting that you're awake. You don't want to be awake because tomorrow is another day and you have to do X, Y, Z. And if you don't sleep, you feel, get me? You Google at 3 a.m., which is basically eliminating melatonin in your bloodstream because it's blue light, and you monitor your tinnitus, and how bad the night is all lead to further activation of your nervous system. All of these make sense from an evolutionary and protective pattern perspective, but they do tell the nervous system that something is not right here. And here's one clear shift on what you can do in order to get to better sleep, but in general, here's a couple of points that are important. Letting wakefulness be there. If you're not sleeping, that's okay. Sleep will come eventually. Removing the performance pressure. You can't perform well or bad at sleep. It's something, again, a biophysiological mechanism that needs no special attention from your side. There's nothing you need to do about sleep. You can do something neutral or relaxing while you are in bed. Staying in bed is a good thing because it will teach you that the night is there for rest, not for activation. Even if you're not only sleeping a couple of hours, you will feel completely different if you only sleep a couple of hours and not constantly fight your wakefulness than fighting your wakefulness. Imagine you have a fight with your partner 8 hours through the night. How do you feel next day? Terrible. Imagine you sit around, read your favorite book, and you stayed up all night because you read your favorite book. Yeah, how do you feel? Well, kind of tired, but you carry through the next day, right? Huge difference, fighting or relaxing. So if you don't turn the night into a test, a massive struggle, then your brain can relearn all of these responses to your tinnitus and to your insomnia. And sleep returns, same is true for tinnitus, sleep returns when the struggle ends. Right? And this is very, very important. Sleep returns when the struggle ends. And the one thing that I will say to you, even in my coaching or even the program, sleep does not return instantly. You won't sleep 8 hours a night with a nervous system that is still knocked on, feeling that sleep is something dangerous that you need to look out for. This is the same thing as with habituation. It's a slow process that takes time. Yeah? And when you learn to incorporate these tools, then sleep returns completely natural. First for longer stretches, sometimes it's up and down. Then maybe sometimes you have less bad nights, you have less fear, you start to trust your body again in its own natural ability to sleep. And you know, most people with tinnitus don't notice that there's one night where sleep returns to natural. You know, they notice a lot later, a few weeks later, that they no longer worry so much at night. And then the night can be something that you experience restfulness and relaxation rather than struggle and difficulty. So we recently had someone in the community a few months back who had a bereavement case in their family, and then they had a few months where they hardly managed to sleep, and case of very severe insomnia, and she was very convinced that this would always stay like that and she would never sleep again. But that's not true. So 3 months later, after going through the program, she is sleeping every single night again. Her nervous system has learned again that sleep is something safe, that she can let go into, and that she can relax. And as soon as the sleep issues got better, her tinnitus habituation was on the way so that she feels almost fully habituated by now. which is not always the case. I can't always promise that, but it was very inspiring to see her journey. So towards the end of this video, I want to remind you a little bit of what this channel and what my work can do for you. Videos like this are supposed to help you and guide you to understand what's happening. What's happening when you experience tinnitus, what happens when your nervous system reacts to tinnitus, and what happens when sleep comes into the equation. And, you know, sleep is not something that you can force to get better. So, although I have a couple of videos on sleep here on my channel, if you want to dive into some further resources and see, for example, a full interview that I did with sleep scientist Dr. Guy Meadows and on acceptance and commitment therapy and sleep and how to get it back on track, then yeah, just check out our habituation hub at habituate.online. And it's very, very important that you know that we are here. This YouTube channel is here for you. This YouTube community is here for you. Our My Tinnitus Club community is here for you. And you're not broken. You just have learned to respond to a difficult time in different ways. And your brain is doing that right now. But it can relearn that sleep is safe. And you can go back to having restful nights, even despite the presence of tinnitus. So I hope that this was a useful video for you. If it was, let me know in the comments what keeps you awake at night. What is your most difficult aspect of tinnitus keeping you awake? And yeah, I think I'll see you in the next video. All right, thank you very much for watching, and until next week, goodbye.